Many people are intimidated by homeschooling through the high school years. So today I'm going to pull back the veil and show you what my 11th grader is working through as far as his curriculum for this school year, in hopes that it encourages you, gives you some ideas, and shows you that it is completely possible to homeschool through the high school years. Before we get started, my name is Leigh. Welcome to my channel. Thanks for watching this video. Right here on this channel, I share about, well, sometimes homeschool curriculum, tips and tricks behind the scenes, just the different aspects of our homeschool, just to share with you and show you that it is completely possible to embrace this homeschooling lifestyle and to thrive in it. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and let's get started on today's video. Whether you homeschool your child starting from kindergarten or you pull them from public or private school and bring them home during their elementary, middle, or high school years, it is completely possible to homeschool and graduate a high schooler. My oldest child graduated just a few months ago from homeschool, and maybe in a future video I will share kind of the whole course, the scope of what we did for her during those 4 years. If you're interested in that, let me know in the comment section below. But today I want to show you what my son is doing for his 11th grade year, and then maybe in a future video I'll share what we did to kind of get him to this point for his 9th and 10th grade year. If you are thinking about homeschooling, or maybe you've already started homeschooling and you just feel overwhelmed by the whole entire thing, where to even start, I wanted to let you know that I have a coaching program where I walk you all the way through that. We'll get you up and running in no time. If you're interested in that, check out the link below, because I would love to be able to work with you and get you to a point where you're feeling super confident and you're really enjoying your homeschooling journey with your kids. But now let's start with, what am I doing with my son in his junior year of high school? But maybe I should start off and say, excuse the look today. My hair dryer went like poof, smoke in the middle of doing my hair today. So this is what you get. Let's start with what he is doing for his English grammar. If you missed it, I recently shared what my 8th grader, so this year I am homeschooling an 8th grader and an 11th grader. If you missed the curriculum that I shared, I'll drop that link for that video in the description below, but you can check that out too if you're wondering what exactly am I doing for a middle schooler. So let's start with English and grammar, that kind of stuff. So I am also doing with him easy grammar. It is just 180 daily teaching lessons. Gotta read it. So basically the entire foundation for grammar has already been laid up through the 7th grade year. I talked a little bit more in depth about this when I shared the curriculum for my 8th grader, and all he has to do is fill out, just work on one sheet. It's completely just review. This one's talking about pronouns, capitalizations, nouns. This page over here is adjectives and adverbs. So it's just a review page. He does this completely on his own. This is the teacher edition. I just simply buy the teacher edition. I don't buy the 2 different books, because what I want them to do is I want them just to do the page on their own. I'm talking about him and his 8th grade brother. So he does the page on his own, and in the back are the answers. You might be like, why are you giving him the answers? I really just want him to work through it, and if he has something wrong, I want him to see exactly what it was that he did wrong. Because to me, I believe that it helps them to learn their grammar better with most any subject, is for them to immediately see what they did wrong. So I trust, and I have seen them, he has proven his trust that he will go through the sheet and then go ahead and check it in the back and make any corrections that are necessary. So this is what he's doing for grammar. It probably takes him about 5-10 minutes at the most every single day, but to me it's just as a good review and a good way of just continuing to keep all that information that he's learned so far in his mind. This school year for him, for his 11th grade year, is a bit of a heavy English year. What I have him doing right now is something that we are going to have him do and then stop, pick back up, and stop again. And I'll explain what he's doing during those gap times there. But what I have him doing is Master Books American Literature. This is the first time that I have used Master Books, and I shared some of the new Master Books that I am using for my 11th grader too in that video, if you're curious. But this is the first time that I have used Master Books at all, and I decided to try out their American Literature. I am going to let you know that my 11th grader is not a fan of this book. But I do enjoy that he is being exposed to different writing, to different literature that he would not regularly or even normally want to, that he would gravitate towards. I know he wouldn't pick up a book, and he would probably give me a little bit of a hard time if I gave him a book of something. So, here there's a Mark Twain's Walt Whitman, I know he's reading Edgar Allan Poe, so Emily Dickinson. Instead of doing like just picking a couple of authors and doing an intense study, I thought that this would keep his interest, because it isn't going to be super in-depth, but enough that I give him exposed to different authors. There is a lot that you can do with this American literature. If you wanted to flesh it out even more and make it even more of an in-depth study, you can. My thought behind it was I wanted to introduce him to different authors, different writers that, again, he normally would not read, and then they have him do at the end of each one. So here's one by Throw. Let's see. Okay, so there's an assignment, and you can include lots of essays if you want, a lot of different writing. So again, you can make this really in-depth if you want to. I decided just to have him do the reading and just do some of the shorter assignments that just help him to analyze and to think a little bit more deeply about the different essays and the different writings and poems and things that he has read in it. So it comes, well, I don't know if it comes with it or I had to purchase it as two different books, but this is the student book. And then I also picked up the teacher's guide, which I have not really used very much. He is doing this literature independent, completely independent. He has a notebook that he writes the answers to the assignments, and then I go over and take a look at them. But a lot of the assignments are just, him kind of thinking and expressing ideas. There is not necessarily right or wrong to those answers. So, I'm not necessarily grading it, which I don't really do grading anyway, but just kind of reading over just to make sure he does his work. The one thing I am using the teacher guide for is in the back. There is a test for every single chapter. Each chapter is made up of 5 lessons. And I have him doing at least 1 lesson a day, sometimes 2, because I really want him to, again, we're gonna take a break, and I'm gonna tell you just in a moment why we're taking some breaks with it. So I want him to spend a little bit more time. So my goal kind of is for him to spend about 30 to 45 minutes on the American literature. And then when he's done with each chapter, there is a test. The tests can be actually quite lengthy and may include a whole essay. So again, I'm picking and choosing what I'm going to have him do for all of those. But again, in the front is just the assignments that they have that are at the end of each book. So really the only thing that I'm using this teacher guide for that really is only serving me is for the tests that are in the back. And he just puts the answers to the test in his notebook. So he just has a notebook that I purchased like from Target for 50 cents before the school year started. And that's just where he's writing down and doing all of his work. Now we're up to the part where I tell you why he is doing that American literature and then stopping and then going back and doing American literature, stopping and then going back and doing it. On those 2 breaks, what he is going to be doing is doing dual enrollment. I have him enrolled in 2 English courses, college level English courses. Dual enrollment, and I can talk more about how I approach the high school years and how I approach dual enrollment and how that, serves and fits into our homeschool. In a future video, if you'd like me to talk more about that, let me know in the comment section. But what I have him doing is you're actually starting very soon, or maybe by the time this video is out, he has already started it. His first college level English course. It'll last about 8 weeks, and I will put aside this American literature during the time that he is doing that, because there's no reason for him to be doing 2 different English courses at once. I want him to really focus and put a lot of energy into the dual enrollment course. We're paying for it, so I really want him to do well, and I want him to get a good grade, and I really want him to get a lot out of it. So during that time, for that 8 weeks, and then it'll probably be about 2 months or so, and then he'll take another English course, another dual enrollment English course, and I really want him to focus. That will be the #1 priority. That'll be the first thing that he does. He might do grammar still for 5-10 minutes, just kind of as a little bit of warm up, but it'll be a focus on that. If he doesn't get to his other subjects during those 8 weeks, I'm not going to worry about it. That's absolutely fine. The focus during those 2 times is to really work on, the 2 English levels. The English 101, English 102 is typically what kids take. So that's going to be what those 2 breaks are, and we'll just see how far we get in this American literature book. Throughout the year, I'm not going to force him to get it done. He's going to get those 2 dual enrollment courses done, which by doing that means that he will have 6 college credits, but each one of those college level courses counts as an entire year of high school English. So in his 11th grade year right now as a junior, he will get 2 years of high school English done just in 2 different sets of 8 weeks, and so he'll have those done. He is required to do 4 credits of high school English, and simply by doing 1 3-credit college course, you get one of those high school courses done. Plus, you have 3 college credits as well, and by doing it as a high schooler, the cost of the tuition is so much less than if he was to graduate and take those courses, whether online or on a campus. Okay, so there is what he's doing for English. It's kind of a little bit broken up, and this is what happens in the high school years is it does not necessarily look like the younger years. You kind of are putting in things and pulling things out and just kind of making it work. It looks a little different, but it's okay. It's kind of, I think it also helps them to become more flexible with their studies. By the time my children reach their 11th grade year, we have a pretty solid insight into what they're interested in learning about. Again, I will talk in another video about kind of how I approach, especially the 9th and 10th grade years, so that my children do have the time to explore their interests more freely and more in depth come their 11th and 12th grade years of high school. So my son, who is a junior now, is very interested in business, in economics, entrepreneurship. So that has been a focus, and I have been kind of creating and putting together some courses for him to delve into that. To cover the economics aspect, we have been going through some Uncle Eric books that are put out by Blue Stocking Press. As a family, we did a few for our morning time last year, and so we have a couple of books that we didn't get to as a family, but I have him going through just on his own because he really does enjoy economics and understands a lot of it that I don't even understand. So the first book is called The Money Mystery, and he actually finished this one already. It's very short. The chapters are very short, and I have him just reading 2 chapters each day, and he finished this already, and we're only, I don't know, 2.5 months into the school year. He got this done within a month at the most, just reading 2 chapters. So this one he did, and the current one that he's working through is the Clipper Ship Strategy. Do a couple others that are in, and I'll link these, and then you can go ahead. I mean, he has an entire series all about it. So I'm gonna have him go through this one. The Clipper Ship Strategy is a little bit longer, so that'll take him a little bit, but he is really enjoying these, learning a lot about economics, and I see that it's really kind of opened up his mind to explore those different areas. So speaking about economics, money, and that kind of stuff, let me talk about another course that I have him taking, and I don't have any book or anything because this is a completely online course, and I will link it below. So I have him taking an accounting course, and I know that I shared a little bit about it on Instagram, and I got a bunch of messages saying, oh, can you what is the accounting course? And I kind of had to, go back on and say, okay, the thing is with this accounting course, it's not just a course for figuring out household finances, how to save money to buy a car, how to, balance a checkbook. It is not that. It is an accounting course for businesses. He has been learning about LLCs, C Corps, S Corps, like all kinds of stuff. I think on day 2 or so, he had to do some research and figure out Enron and all of that. I remember hearing about it in the news years ago, didn't quite understand. He did the research, completely explained it to me in a way that I could understand it, and I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I will link the website that he is using. This is the only course we've taken through them, so this isn't, as we go further, I think I might have him take another business course or 2 through them as well, so I think at the end of the school year I'll be able to give you a better idea of our thoughts on it, but the price wasn't too much, and I just did a 3-month membership, and it says you can cancel at any time, so I felt pretty safe about go ahead and and just paying for 3 months, and then we'd see how well he's doing. He's really enjoying it. He's learning a lot of things that I would not be able to tell him, and it took me a really long time to find an accounting course that would give him knowledge. He reads a ton of business books. I think he's read almost every business book that we have at our local library. I was trying to find some business books online, find some lists of different business books, and I showed it to him, and I was like, are you interested in any of these books? Maybe we can try to find them from somewhere else, or maybe we do purchase them. But come to find out, he's read most of them just on his own, borrowing them from the library, borrowing from friends who are adults who are into business. He'll borrow books from them as well. The accounting course that he is taking will only last him a few months. I have him, instead of saying to do certain lessons, some of the lessons are shorter and don't take that long, I kind of give him a time frame, and I'll say, work on accounting for 30 to 45 minutes and see where you get. If it's not a good time, if after 30 minutes you still have, keep going. If it's 45 and you're in the middle of something, go ahead. If you're interested in it, go ahead and go longer, but kind of give him a minimum amount of time to work on it so that we can still get through it. I think he might be close to about halfway through and just started a few weeks ago. So again, this is an accounting course for anybody who is wanting to get into business accounting, not just home finances, which I can talk about in another video as well. I wanted to make sure you know that this accounting course is specific for those who really want to get into business and not just kind of dabble just a little bit in accounting just to know some basic stuff. There's so many other things out there. So if your child is interested in accounting for business, then go ahead and check this out. The other thing I have him doing is just reading random books. There are some literature books, there are just some books that we have in our household that I have wanted him to read, and I have found with my boys that they will not pick up these books on their own. However, if I assign it to them and assign a couple of chapters, they will definitely read it, and sometimes I will find that they take that book to their room and continue reading beyond the assigned time that I have for them. So I'm just kind of going through that. I'll assign a couple chapters in a certain book. Once that book is done, then I'll just find another book and add it to his list of books to read. And that includes some business books. I have found some that he did not know about and has not read, and he's also just reading on his own. So I put together like a business course of just him reading books by different business owners and just their different strategies, and then, you know, talking through that with me, and that's been really helpful. So it's really been fun as you know, him as a junior, being able to do what interests him. And I think I would have absolutely loved to have been able to do that when I was in high school, later in high school, be able to dive into what I was interested in at that point. This year looks, you know, when I look at it on paper, this is his assignment book. It, you know, it doesn't look, you know, like there's a lot that he needs to do, but each of these things can take quite a while, and I kind of have him diving in deep. He is also running his own lawn mowing business, and he spends most of his afternoons doing that. It is still lawn mowing season right now. That'll kind of slow down here soon. Then he'll probably get into leaf raking and, I don't know, shoveling snow, who knows. But to me, that also counts as part of his education, because in his spare time, he is actually working on the accounting. He is like the CEO, the accountant, the, I guess, CFO, all of those things. He's the manager, everything for this lawn mowing business. So to me, this also is part of the business course that I put together for him, just from pulling different resources and also trying to connect him to different people that we know in the business world, so that he has a chance to talk with them, shadow them, and get to know, you know, what it is about their business, their perspective. I think it's really important for him at this age to be able to talk to those who are in business, get their perspective. Doesn't mean you have to do exactly what they suggest, but also just to kind of hear about them. He is very entrepreneurship minded, and so he has a lot of goals and things he wants to do, and I just kind of want to give him those opportunities and that time, and homeschooling definitely allows him that time to delve into those things. Well, that's it. I mean, it feels like it's not a lot that I have him doing, and maybe from the outside, if you know, came in from the outside, you're in public school, this might not seem like a lot, but my goal is not to have a lot of busy paperwork and worksheets and such for him. I want him to, you know, read these books and then talk about them, whether with myself, with dad, with his siblings, just to talk through what he has learned, because I know that the best way to be able to share the knowledge and to confirm the knowledge and solidify it in your mind is by sharing it with other people. We do a lot more narration, a lot more talking through and discussing ideas than writing, you know, down answers to different questions or even tests. If you missed one of my videos, I talked about one of the things we don't do. I don't do testing of different grades. We have standardized testing we have to do, but I don't do testing of different grades. And people say, how do you know how they're doing? I know exactly how he's doing in every single subject. My goal is to allow him this time, his 11th grade and 12th grade year. We have some ideas for next year that are kind of working out those details, and I'll share those when we have that figured out. You might notice that he doesn't have any math assigned. Last year, I got him to the point where he was doing advanced mathematics through Saxon, and he's gotten through all the algebra, geometry, and then of course onto the advanced, and we just kind of felt like that was enough. It was enough to satisfy our homeschool regulations. So this year, the accounting is part of his mathematics. He does, you know, his own business math. We're kind of working on consumer math just with him, not anything formal. A lot of that stuff he already knows. We've already gone over that in the beginning of his high school years. But we just felt like this year, more practical math was going to serve him better. So then you might also be like, well, what about history? Now, in the literature, the American literature, there is a lot of history here that's just thrown into it because of the different time periods. So I'm not worried about that as far as history. We also still do morning time, that with him and my 8th grader, and we are covering things, you know, social studies types things. He also has met all of his requirements in his 9th and 10th grade year to satisfy the requirements for the homeschool regulations. So this might not, again, look like what you would expect it to look like for an 11th grader, but just know that there's great freedom. And the reason why he has this great freedom is because I really doubled down in 9th and 10th grade and met a lot of those requirements that he would need for high school, so that now he has the freedom to continue, you know, to meet those requirements, but then also to spend a lot more time on what interests him and what will probably serve him best in the future. I hope you found this video helpful. If you're not already, go ahead and hit that like button, that subscribe button, and my heart really behind it is hoping that it shows you that high school does not have to be scary. It doesn't have to be intimidating. You don't have to worry about homeschooling through high school, and it actually allows us the time and the freedom for our kids to explore their interests. We get to create new things. I will share in the future what I did for my daughter in her 11th and 12th grade years, which is, you know what? I think the easy grammar, from his list of things that I just shared with you, I think easy grammar is the only thing that the two of them are doing at the same. Okay, wait, and the dual enrollment, the college courses, they both did that as well. But otherwise, homeschooling can be a very individual approach, especially as you get to the high school years and you start to see the areas that they're interested in. If you have any questions or anything, or if you would like to tell me what your high school 11th grader did, I would love to hear that. You can hit that in the comment section below. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.